of my political science friends here can object violently to what I'm about to say. But the fact of the matter is we don't have any theory of politics that's worth a damn. Are you there, friends? And I say that advisedly because one of the things that political scientists have done recently, and I've had a hand in it, so I'm guilty too, is that they have borrowed the incentive structure from economics and things, the most powerful tools of economics, like opportunity cost, which is a very powerful tool and gets you a long ways, and things like that, and try to build a theory of politics of it. But it works fairly well in economics because the incentive structures are clear and unambiguous. Opportunity cost tells you what you give up if you don't do something, and that's for real. But opportunity cost doesn't work very well in politics because it's not clear that when you give up anything, anything changes at all. The structure of political systems, the incentive structure of political systems, we've got to devise a completely new way to think about it. Now we do, and indeed with some very interesting work. In fact, you can watch the fumbling and bumbling activities going on today in trying to recover from the financial crisis to see this working very poorly, but working in a way that indicates how complex it is to try to deal with something that first of all, is a subjective structure which we have erected. Second of all, as I'm going to point out in a minute, evolved from the past so that the framework, the way it worked is still based on theory that we developed in the past to try to explain it. And it's clearly that we are evolving institutions and organizations that are radically different than those that ever existed before. We may think we understand derivatives and financial structure, but it's quite obvious from the way we're going we don't understand it very well. So the structure that we've got to erect has got to, first of all, integrate institutions and organizations together, which we don't do. That is, you've got to understand exactly how a framework of institutions work and how the organizations that are spawned by that framework evolve through time, and that goes well beyond anything we do today. And in particular, you've got to have a theory about politics. You've got to have a theory because the incentive structure in politics is clearly not the same one as in economics. That the standard opportunity cost framework we use, which we've gotten a long ways in economics, is a very powerful tool. Gets only limited mileage in politics. And we haven't, with all the best efforts, we haven't done very well in trying to figure it out. There's a third thing. And that is, the third thing that's missing is that the way we think about the world is static. Now, if you're an economist, that's easy because economics essentially, the power of economic models has been that they've told you about a structure at a moment of time. And while we've made some headway, not a lot, but some headway in trying to make such models dynamic, dynamic models are extremely difficult to do. And we have, game theory has played around with it, but not very effectively. But what essentially, here's where economic history comes into its own. Economic history is a world in which is continually evolving, and I use the word evolving not in the Darwinian sense of progress, but in the sense that it's a continually changing process, and that what works today may not work tomorrow. Now, the first reason for that is, come back to the word culture. What we should mean by culture, and most sociologists and anthropologists don't, but should, is what you should mean by culture is, listen carefully, the beliefs and institutions that you've inherited from the past that constrain the choice set in the present. Let me say that again because it's the heart of why in most cases we don't understand what we're doing. It's the beliefs and institutions that you inherited from the past that provide the constraints, which is good economic terminology, in the present. Now why is that important? Is because we don't ever operate from zero. We operate from an existing, very complex framework that is evolving all the time. It's continually changing. And you've got to understand where you are if you're going to have any advantage in how you can make it better. And most of the theory we develop in economics would be fine if the world stays static. Then the way we worked yesterday would be the way we work today and tomorrow. But that's clearly not so. Clearly what we're going on is evolving a much more complex institutional, organizational framework than we had before. And therefore what we've got to do is we've got to be able to understand how that system is evolving, and that'll be a necessary precondition to know what kind of things we can change to make it work better. Now, what Barry and John and I are going to do next is work on those things. That is, we're going to try to attempt to understand how limited access orders work and how we can make them work better, moving from fragile to stable to mature, which is necessary precondition to being able to improve performance in third world countries. We've got to understand more about how the institutions, organizations evolve and interact, because that's the heart of where we are today. And indeed, Marina, stand up. Yes. Marina comes from Georgia, and she's been trying to do that in the state of Georgia. And I don't completely understand what she's doing, but she's at least directly trying to deal with that, with those set of issues, and I'm proud of her. All of that is what we're trying to do. Now, I'm going to conclude with this because I want to hear what you've got to say, but let me make one concluding point. You're probably going to ask me, and I'm going to be embarrassed when you do, so I'll get ahead of you. Where are we going? Now, that's embarrassing because you'd have to have a good dynamic theory of change and know the things that are evolving and then be able to predict what things are changing that will make it work better. It's quite clear from just the chaos going on in trying to deal with the current recession how complicated that is in the world we live in today, and how little we understand about what's happening to us, about the way we're evolving, about how financial institutions are evolving, and what different institutional organizational frameworks that are evolving. All that is grist for our mill. All that is grist for your mill. I don't intend to be around forever, but I'll try to be around a while more. But what you all have to do is try to understand better the institutional organization that we're evolving and how it works, and then we may do better.